Yeah, I applaud him nonetheless for going on something like Joe Rogan. It feels like the postscript, the Tuesday morning quarterbacking or Wednesday morning quarterbacking for the election among the Democratic circles has been like, oh shit, why didn't she do Joe Rogan? It's like, well, that was probably a symptom and not the disease itself. You probably should have done X, Y, Z, A, B, C. It's funny that that's what it's been reduced down to is like, uh, and maybe this just goes back to what the election is in totality, but like the takeaways from this are going to be myriad. They're going to be about an inch deep, and everyone's just going to be running with their head cut off for the next 4 years.
So let's get into it. That's what we're here for, right? That sounds like exactly what we're going to discuss today.
That's as deep as I can go, 1 inch.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, we got Trump 2.0. Did you see, I mean, I guess we kind of expected this, right?
Oh, man, it's tough because I guess to set the stage in my own head, when I woke up Tuesday morning, looked at, where Nate Silver's model was, where the legacy media was on the race, I thought that, obviously it was everything indicated it was a 50-50 race, and that if there was a plausible path to Trump winning again, which obviously there was in a 50-50 race, that it would come via the chicanery that exists for Republicans to win presidential elections basically in our entire lifetime, which is win the Electoral College, lose the popular vote, everything around the blue wall, et cetera, et cetera. Say Harris wins Michigan and Wisconsin, Trump wins Pennsylvania. It's close, but Trump wins. I was shocked. I was shocked that the popular vote went so steadily for him. I mean, at this point, it almost is like not even an update on CNN anymore. It's like, I don't know if we want to talk about this anymore. Trump's going to win the popular vote by 6 percentage points nationally. It probably is a little bit inside of that when you start to actually count all of the straggler ballots, but like, holy smokes, this is someone who like, he capped out at like 49, 48%, even when he was the change candidate. Now, in Trump 2.0, he gets more votes. I've got a lot of thoughts on it, and I tried to break it down into a couple of themes that we could debate, we could discuss, we can get into. But to answer your question, I was shocked.
Yeah, it was a big swing. I mean, it was tough to tell because going into it, we started hearing, about how there should, the prediction markets repriced. They got down to 50% to 50-50 race at one point. All of the punditry in the media was incessant and insistent in saying that Kamala was going to win or could win. And it really became difficult to tell, whether there was going to be any type of a landslide. And ultimately, that seems to be what happened, with the Senate going for the Republicans. It seems like the House is going to go there as well. It's quite a mandate for Trump in his next term.
It really is. And that's probably where things have to start is the scale at which the top of the ballot impacted the down ballot races was pretty surprising. I definitely thought that, the Senate was just going to by and large go for whoever won the presidency with a slight edge to Republicans based on the seats that were up for grabs and what ones could be turned. I did not foresee the House also likely going the Republicans' way. Hasn't been called, but all indications say that it's going to be unity across the three branches, or at least three. You could call it basically the three branches: Congress, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. Obviously, that wasn't on the ballot. I was not surprised to see the extent by which that almost Trump remade his coalition from 2020 to 2024. I mean, the stat of the night, in my view, was that Kamala did not improve in basically any county, any geographic region versus Biden in 2020. If that's not a referenda on the current administration, I don't know what is.
No, it's a great point. And I think she did a lot worse across a lot of demographics that people expected her to do better in, whether it's Latinos or white women. I mean, everyone expected her to do better in those metrics. And I think you're right. Losing the popular vote seems to matter a lot because it implies that the Democrats are going to have to do some serious rethinks to their positioning. I mean, if you look at 2016, when they won the popular vote, that was an era where progressives were in vogue. and being the resistance or the reaction to Donald Trump, that really allowed for a lot of the more progressive wings of the Democratic Party to sort of take over and to be a huge part of their rethink then. Whereas I don't think that's the case today. I think today, really the progressive wing has not been in vogue, and they lost in a large part because that wing had gotten so much power. And so I'm very interested to see, because I've heard arguments on both sides. I've heard people say, they need to really lean into, the class warfare, the identitarian politics, and everything that I think lost in this election. Whereas I've also seen people say they need to tack more to the middle, just like Trump did on several key issues, which led to him winning more of those cohorts, like you described.
Yeah, and this goes back to what, the sum totality of the election just being a big shitburger for Democrats is because she wasn't exactly in either of those lanes. I'm going to attack exactly to the middle. I'm going to attempt to, bring in as many policy points on the Republican platform inward into this big tent that traditionally carries Democrats. She attempted to do so with her fracking stances, some other stances that she took, but she wasn't firmly in that lane. Neither was she in the progressive lane by virtue of her attempting to walk back all of the things that she ran on in 2019. But because she chose to ride directly in the middle of those lanes, it doesn't provide a data point for what you do going forward, because absent that, there's no framework by which we should select a next candidate for the Democratic Party. Now, selection being put to the side, because that was one of my key takeaways, is that this is probably what you should expect when you don't run an open primary for nominating a president. She basically was building the ship as it was sailing towards the election day. And so you're going to get some variants like this coming about, but it is such a shellacking almost that it leaves you with like just the fragment pieces in your hands if you're a Democrat thinking like, what do I even go forward with from here?